So I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and are having a happy holidays with your friends and family. It has been far too long since we've sat down and had these conversations. Last week the internet went out, then I had to hop on a plane, travel across the country, but fear not, we are back and we have got some important things to talk about, including how one fan base had Christmas come early. And of course today we're talking about Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns continuing their impressive recruiting streak, this time with an unbelievable transfer portal acquisition. And before we can jump into all of this, y'all already know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Trey Moore commits to the Texas Longhorns? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, why is this such a big addition for the Texas Longhorns? And I think it goes without saying. When we look at Trey Moore and his production, that alone makes this a massive addition, even if Texas felt fantastic about the edge position heading into the SEC. Getting a guy such as Trey Moore with the production he's having, 45 tackles this past season, 14 sacks, 1 forced fumble and an interception. By the way, that is not at all a one-off. If we look at the year before, he had 28 solo tackles, 56 combined tackles, and 8 sacks. So this is a guy that wreaks havoc on opposing offenses, and he's been doing it for quite some time. This is not a one-off the year he just had. Even if you were to get this guy in a room that was loaded with talent, you would be over the moon that you get his experience, you get his explosiveness, and you get his tenacity in that room. But for Texas, it's recruiting to needs that continues to impress me. Whenever Steve Sarkisian first got to the Texas Longhorns, if you'll allow me to go back, there was a massive needed offensive line. What'd they do? They signed a phenomenal offensive line class. Fast forward a year, they have a needed linebacker. What do? You get the #1 inside linebacker in the nation. Fast forward yet another year. You start off the year with an understood need at the edge position. So what do? You get 5-star edge Colin Simmons, who plays in the state of Texas for Duncanville, one of the best high schools not only in Texas, but in all of America. You get him to stay home and play for the Texas Longhorns as you head to the SEC. An unbelievable win, one that cannot be understated. But as the season continued to progress, another need popped up, and we've talked about this before, in the secondary. Sark goes out and gets a great secondary class, including Andrew Makuba from the transfer portal, who as a freshman for Clemson made his presence known and never looked back. He was one of the better defensive backs in the ACC, and that's a huge win for the Longhorns. But you still had that needed edge. And yes, Colin Simmons goes a long way to address it. But if you can get a guy that has played college football, that has the experience Trey Moore has, with the eligibility that Trey Moore has, with the production that he brings to the table, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the trifecta that you were looking for in the transfer portal, something that Steve Sarkisian and company have been able to find time and time again. Getting players that still have eligibility, that were productive, and have good, positive experience that they can take with them and transition fairly easily, or as easily as they can. That's one of the things that continues to impress me, and once again, they have done it. There was a continued need at that edge position, and you get a guy that can come in and be a massive addition to this defense. Because when we talk about the Texas defense, we have got to acknowledge that PK has a special usage for the X and Jack linebacker position, so you need those guys to be effective. You need them to create havoc. Looks like the Texas Longhorns are well on their way to being able to continue a defense that creates havoc, this time from that edge position. And this is massive for Texas as they transition from the Big 12 to the SEC, and they're having a phenomenal season. And personally, I think it's Sark's ability to recognize problems on the team and then address them is a big reason why Texas is where they currently are. Steve Sarkisian is proactive. He's not going to sit on his hands, and I've talked about this before in relation to other coaches. Personally, I love that. I don't want a coach to sit and wait for the problem to be fixed. I want the coach to go out there and fix the problem. Find out what is wrong and fix it. And Steve Sarkisian has done an unbelievable job at that. It's part of the reason why I bring up the recruiting needs so often when we talk about Texas, to drive home the point that this staff is different from previous Texas staffs we've seen, and that's why the results, quite frankly, are different. I'm very excited for the Texas Longhorns and what this addition means for them, especially as they head into the SEC. But there's no understating what a big-time win Trey Moore is. That production, that tenacity, that explosiveness, other coaches all around the nation wanted this kid and wanted him bad. He pretty much well could have gone wherever he wanted, and if you're a Texas fan, you have got to be over the moon that you got him. But before we get out of here, one more thing, and I have got to hear from you on this. Hop down to the comments, let me know what your favorite addition in the recruiting class was for the Longhorns, and then let me know what your favorite transfer portal acquisition is thus far. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Soon we'll be back on our regular scheduling with live streams and all, but until then, enjoy your time with friends and family, and we'll be back very soon. That's it. See ya.